All right, oh baby, oh baby, oh baby. Things are getting spicy in the chat. Things are getting spicy on the Comcast Business text line. They're getting spicy on the roast here as we talk about Bob Myers. Bob Myers, president of basketball operations of the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors and Bob Myers have not had any substantial contract extension talks in months, and the sides are bracing for the likelihood that Myers could walk away from the franchise. After being with the franchise for over 12 years, Bob Myers could be on the way out. His contract expires June 30th. We'll talk to Bobby Marks in just a second here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. But good morning to everybody out there getting off their graveyard shift. Good morning to everybody out there getting ready for work. If you're at work, what is happening? Good morning to all the teachers, the cops, the construction workers, everybody out there. You know who you are, electricians, you name it, security guards, ushers, all that stuff. Bobby Marks will join us in moments here as we talk about the crossroads of the Golden State Warriors. And this offseason just continues to get fascinating. Every day there's been something different. 2 days ago, Steve Kerr and Draymond Green discussing the I just got derailed with a text. It was Steve Kerr and Draymond Green discussing the punch and how it kind of hovered over the season and how it was a problem. And then you get the report yesterday that Bob Myers could be on the way out. So this is why I got distracted, Shasky. 415. This guy always asks me when Bonte wears gray sweatpants, I'm forced to say, oh, baby. How do they know I'm wearing gray sweatpants?
What?
Somebody's always asking me about whether or not I'm wearing gray sweatpants. It's the weirdest thing ever.
I own more sweatpants or variations of sweatpants, joggers, Adidas, tracksuits, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what people call them. Than I do jeans and pants. How about you?
I got a lot more. So yeah, I only have like 4 pair of jeans now.
Yeah.
Due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh, and good morning to all the professional dancers. You know that 415. People not happy with that one, by the way.
So I want to give a quick shout out. My nephew, he graduated from Cal over the weekend, and they have different departments all week are having different celebrations and things like that. So shout out to all the parents out there that have worked tooth and nail to put their kids, whether it's the work that they put in driving them back and forth or whatever, to high school graduations that are coming up and to college graduations. The financial burden on college is unreal.
No doubt.
So shout out to all those families out there.
I still owe some money. Bobby Marks, NBA front office insider for ESPN, at Bobby Marks 42 on Twitter. 20 years of NBA experience, including 5 years as a Nets assistant GM. Bobby, good morning. Welcome back to the show. We've been talking a lot about Bob Myers. So I'll ask you right off the front end here, how does Bob Myers leaving the Warriors impact this team's future?
Well, I mean, certainly the guy who's built it and who's had a big role in it, it has a tremendous impact. I mean, as far as more about his relationship, I think, with the players on this roster, whether it be Curry, Thompson, certainly Draymond. There's a good infrastructure, I think, in place if he does leave, if they're going to, I guess, promote within, whether it be, I guess Mike Dunleavy Jr. would kind of be the next man up here. But yeah, I mean, anytime someone who's been with an organization for 10 plus years, and as I said, has played a primary role, building the roster, cultivating relationships here, his relationship with certainly with Steve Kerr, I think it probably changes the dynamics a little bit here as far as maybe how things are built going forward here. The fortunate thing is you've got Curry under contract for the next 3 seasons here, and I think that's why there is still a priority to, I guess, retool this roster, not tear it down.
Bobby, what kind of cap situation will Myers' replacement be inheriting, whether it's Mike Dunleavy Jr., somebody on the outside? How can they navigate this cap situation coming into this gig?
Well, you're not going to be able to really sign players outside of, retaining your own, and you're not even going to be able to really probably retain Dante DiVincenzo, who's got a player option, just because you're limited as far as what you can pay him as far as for his next contract if he decides to opt out. You got the veteran minimum exception, you got your first-round pick. I mean, that's kind of the reality of it as far as what you're looking at as far as, the openings, as far as, I guess, from a bench standpoint. The fortunate thing is that you can bring back Draymond, of course, and exceed the cap if you want to do a long-term contract. You'll have to figure out what to do with Thompson, who's on an expiring contract. As I mentioned with Curry, Wiggins, signed that extension last year. I think certainly you guys have probably talked about it at length. I guess if you're going to, break up a contract, it would probably be the Jordan Poole contract, just because he's trade eligible starting in July, and he's at a $28 million number, and that would probably be the direction if you don't have faith in what your bench is, whether it be Peyton or Kuminga or Moody or players like that, it would be Poole. But yeah, I mean, hey, the Warriors were going to be faced with the decision if they won a championship or they lost in the second round here. I mean, we've talked at length that the payroll is going to be north of $400 million, no matter how you split it up, with the luxury tax and the in the salary cap here. The fortunate thing is that the pain, is not going to be felt until next offseason or next year, because even with these new CBA rules coming in, the league is basically kind of giving everyone kind of a 1-year pass where you get your finances in order. And if Golden State elects to kind of go down this path, they'll feel a lot of pain next year. I mean, that's the reality of it here, as from a financial cost, from a draft pick cost, from a roster building cost here. So there is a little bit of leeway right now, but not much.
Yeah, I think this is why we're bringing you on. You obviously worked in an NBA front office for so long. You have such a great feel for the finances, and it feels like we're talking so much about roster and getting the roster. How much are the finances going to dictate everything? Like, for example, the Draymond Green opt-in. I know no one wants to lose anyone for nothing, especially when you're this far over the cap. But is there a financial argument for maybe just allowing him to opt out and not working some sort of a sign-and-trade? Does that even benefit them?
Well, the signing trade becomes a challenge because you can't, as far as what you can take back and salary. I mean, here's the big picture. You got Steph Curry under contract for 3 years. You got to maximize trying to win a championship here. And if you're not going to do that, you might as well just trade him, right? I mean, that's the reality of it here. I mean, like, if you don't think the roster should be brought back, whether it be Draymond or Klay Thompson, like, I don't know who else out there is you're going to bring in here. And yeah, from a sign and trade standpoint, it's certainly challenging as far as moving his number and then taking back contracts. It's just different faces. It's different players that kind of maybe don't fit your culture as far as what you've been able to do here. I think from a financial angle, if you're going to be bringing back Draymond and you're going to bring back Thompson, what you want to do is align it with Curry's contract. So whether it be a 3-year deal with Green or a 2-year extension with Thompson. I know Poole and Wiggins signed 4-year extensions last offseason that start this upcoming year here. That's kind of how, I think you take it in a 3-year window.
So let me ask you this one. Unemotionally, because there's such an emotion attached to the big three that everyone is. How would you view this if you were the GM? Like, what would be the moves that you would make right now if you wanted to get this team back into contention yesterday, removing emotion?
Yeah, I would probably look at Jordan Poole.
You start there.
I mean, I think, that's where I'm starting. I know a lot has happened with Draymond, certainly with the punch and all that stuff. But I think he's got. I mean, Steve Kerr said it yesterday. I mean, I think he's got tremendous value to this roster. I don't know how much value he has to another team. I mean, I think that's going to be the interesting thing as far as if he went out and became a free agent. I don't know if he's getting $25 to $30 million from Detroit or San Antonio or Orlando or some of those other teams here. But yeah, I think I'm keeping the 3 players. I'm keeping Wiggins, I'm keeping Looney, and I'm seeing what I can get for Jordan Poole out there. I think the interesting thing is, as you guys know, like Kuminga was supposed to be the guy, like the next guy in line, right?
Right.
Like that was the goal all along. When they basically had 2 sets of rosters with the veterans, and then you had Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody, Poole, right? Like that was the next layer of players when Draymond gets a little bit older and Thompson gets a little bit older here. And that plan has kind of gone out the window a little bit here because Wiseman's in Detroit. Moody, nice player. We've seen some good things. Kuminga couldn't get off the bench during the playoffs here.
Which befuddled us all, Bobby. It befuddled us all because from midway through January, he was playing 23 minutes a night through the end of the regular season and was improving. Didn't even get a sniff in the playoffs. So we're all confused saying, man, looked like he could have used Kuminga at some point during the Lakers series.
Well, and that was the beauty of Darvin Ham. What Darvin was able to do in Los Angeles is that, he used Lonnie Walker, right? He wasn't afraid to put Jared Vanderbilt on the bench here. He changed the lineup up here, and it kind of gave you a different look for some of those games here where, that's yeah, I was confused why we didn't see Kuminga out there, and Steve, basically stuck to, his core guys, which you certainly respect. That's the group that got you a championship. But yeah, I mean, that's the challenge that Golden State faces, because out of Poole, I'm not, I don't know who out of that group can be a foundational starter moving forward.
Bobby Marks here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game, NBA front office insider for ESPN, at Bobby Marks 42 on Twitter. So we all agree that Jordan Poole's contract is movable if they want to go that direction. But the Warriors would not be able to use a mid-level exception to sign a player this offseason. Can you explain to our audience why this is such a tough break for a team like the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, I mean, it's just another resource. It's something that you had last year to sign, Dante DiVincenzo to that number. Because Golden State's considered a second apron team, the tax mid-level exception, which is valued at $5 million this offseason, it becomes voided here. You've got certainly some restrictions as far as being able to acquire player in trades and signing players that were bought out of their contract here. So yeah, I mean, that's the Warriors, the Clippers, Miami. We'll see about teams like Milwaukee. Once you exceed $179.5 million, then you have limited resources as far as how you can add. But what they're saying is basically you better like your roster. Like, you better like your roster, and you better have a lot of all your draft picks moving forward to kind of build out that infrastructure.
So you brought up Milwaukee. What's going to happen up there, Bobby? What is going to happen? Milwaukee looks a little older. They got bounced in the first round. They don't have a coach right now. They're getting new ownership. Are we sure Giannis Antetokounmpo is a lifer up in Milwaukee, Bobby?
Well, I wouldn't make much into it if he doesn't sign an extension. He's extension eligible in September to sign. He's got 3 years left. The last year is a player option here. I wouldn't make much into that as far as him, signing an extension. And if he doesn't, that all of a sudden means that he's going to be trade eligible here. I think, maybe we're talking about this a year from now. And it's the same thing with, what Golden State's going through with the roster. Like, you're going to have to bring back Brook Lopez. You're going to have to bring back Chris Middleton, right? Like, you can't waste the prime of Giannis's years here. And
those guys didn't look like they were healthy enough, Bobby. They didn't look like they were healthy enough to help him win another championship.
Well, I mean, I think you can make the argument they ran into probably not an 8 seed in the first round, and I think we'll see. I mean, I think what happens is we're going to see if a different coach can get a different result when it comes to the postseason. I mean, it was still the number 1 seed, and yeah, I mean, Middleton's the concern. Of course, Lopez isn't. I mean, Lopez was healthy all year, and you could make an argument he was defensive player of the year. Middleton's the concern, right? If he can hold up for 65 games. What that number is going to be, but you've got Giannis under contract, you've got Holiday under contract here. The hope is that a different face on the bench could change maybe some of your postseason shortcomings.
Bobby, as we pivot back to the Golden State Warriors, you haven't referenced Klay Thompson's expiring contract, nor Andrew Wiggins and his salary kind of going down about $8-9 million next year. Again, removing emotion. Do those guys have value? Are those people that you're keeping? Does an expiring contract still have value the way it used to? Do you staple it to some of the young guys? Would those be options to explore in the trade market? Obviously, you don't want to get rid of Wiggins because he's so important, but to get something, you got to give. So do those guys have value around the league?
Wiggins' contract's got tremendous value. I mean, it's a great contract. I don't know if I'm ready to move off. I mean, I guess it matters if I'm asking you guys, like, who are you guys looking at? Like, who would you want for those guys? That's my big question here. Is that Andrew Wiggins got a tremendous lot of value on the court, off the court, with that contract. Klay had certainly an up and down playoffs, as you guys know that. I'm not extending him for 4 years, $210 million. I'm not doing that.
What do you think his value is financially for you as an observer unemotionally? Like, where does he stand right now? Position, salary, etc. Like, how do you view him?
I think he's probably a $30 million guy. I mean, you got to remember too. He signed that deal coming off the injury here, and he's basically played a year and a half, 2 years out of the 5. I mean, this will be year 3 out of that here. So there was 2 years where he didn't play here. So. Yeah, I mean, I think for a shooting guard, a guy that can make shots, I think he's probably a $30 million player. Are you comfortable 3 for 90? Is it, 3 for 85? I don't think he would do that. I think he would probably, knowing, he'll probably want to go into free agency in 2024. So, expiring contracts, they don't have as much value as they once did. Gotcha. I mean, that's the reality of it here. As far as the extension rules certainly have changed a little bit, but it's basically you better be comfortable, whatever you give up, because if you're not sure if you're going to be able to re-sign him.
Interesting stuff there from Bobby Marks here on the Morning Roast, NBA front office insider for ESPN. We thank you for the time, man. Nearly 20 minutes. I know you had to hang on hold for a second there. But, Bobby, we appreciate the insight there about the Warriors salary cap situation and looking at the Giannis situation in Milwaukee. Thanks, Bobby. Take care, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yep, you're welcome.
Anytime. Bobby Marks, NBA front office insider for ESPN.
Just taking back what he said, there's so many things that are very
Klay
interesting.
Thompson, $30 million a year. Wow. That seems steep.
You think steep?
It seems steep.
I'm going to refrain from giving any Klay Thompson opinions at this
No,
second.
no,
because just hear me out. I think the biggest thing that he said to me was that